Hi, I'm Jay and I paint, and I invite you to paint too. So, this is another session of my memories of a mountain meadow painting that I've been working on for a while. I'm capturing every step along the way, all the trials and tribulations and corrections as it goes along. But I'm getting there. It's getting there. I did the rocks. I did some polish on the rocks in the last session. I started the rocks a few sessions ago, but I came back and I did some highlights, and now that's drying. And I also made the foreground grasses a little bit darker because they're in the shade of the rocks. And the aim of this session is going to be to fix the forest. So this area here, this bluish wedge is a background forest, which right now doesn't really look like a forest, and it looks like too much of a wedge. It's a perfect wedge. And that's really not looking that natural. I mean, it's kind of far off, so it should be kind of bluish, but it's close enough where you can see individual trees, because I did put some individual brush strokes in there. And it's not I don't think that I don't think I got that balance right. Like I feel like if I'm close enough to see individual trees, then it's more it's closer to the foreground than I put it with the colors. So I have several colors pre-mixed here, ranging from bluish to more greenish, and I'll see what it looks like once I actually start applying it. The mid-ground has always been a tricky part for me. Background, yeah, lots of blue, vague lines, no hard edges. Foreground, bright colors, vertical lines. Getting from point B to point A is I'm still learning. So I don't think I picked the right color for that. Also, I don't want it just being a wedge. I wanted to have, like, some of these trees are going to exist in this meadow, right? It shouldn't be just a hard cutoff. I don't want it to be just a hard cutoff. Let me put it that way. So that's what I'm going to be working on in this session. So I have my pre-mixed colors here. I don't want to subject you to the punishment of watching me mix paint, unless folks want to see how I mix paint. It's not it's not nearly as exciting as watching paint go to the canvas and, well, paper in this case, and putting paint on there and making things look pretty. It's a lot of, let me see if I can try this, let me try that, and that mixing all this probably took me about a half hour before I started recording. So yeah, it's not exciting. I would not expect a video like that to get a lot of views, but if anybody's interested in that, let me know, and maybe I'll start doing that too. Okay, cleaning off my brush one more time. Okay, so I'm going to turn this around. That's perfect. I had my palette pointed the other way, but my paints are right down here, so why not why not get them closer? That's the advantage of having a palette like this. Okay, oh boy. So I gotta try this. I might have to do some more color mixing anyway and subject you to the torture either way. I don't want it to be so close to this color that it fades in, so it needs to be bluer. Yeah, I'm right back to that same boat with that same color. Maybe something halfway in between. But it is lighter, so okay, that's halfway. Let's see what that works. Oh boy. Anytime I go in with a color that I have not had on the canvas before, it makes me nervous. Like, what if I really screw this up? But it needs work. So okay, I'm gonna use a different brush. I've been using this smaller brush, especially in the last session. I started using it quite a bit, and I really like the size of it. It's just it doesn't have a long handle, and I've come to appreciate having the long handle so that I can have my hand further away from the painting, but I need to buy one of these. But I think for this, I wanna... maybe I need oil too. Oh, this could be a challenge with the vertical... with the vertical palette. See, I'll dribble a little bit of oil and I'll make it vertical again because I actually really like having it right below the painting. I'm not gonna give up having a nice forest. I dribbled just a little bit of oil onto the palette and I'm mixing it in enough so that it doesn't run off on me. Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting challenge. Mixing with a brush, I never do that. I'm using oil so that it so the paint slides more. So there's more more fluidity to it. That's, don't quote me on that. That's not the official term. I'm sure there's a proper artistic term for it that I'm totally not naming right now. Okay, there we go. Okay, it's a little bit more green. I think this works. I'm gonna try to... See, I'm already trying to hold the brush like this. If it was long handled, I'd hold it like this, but... Better color. I like that for the... at least the tips. Maybe if I just put in the tips, that's good enough. Okay. Oh, that's okay. Much better distribution. It's not all the right colors yet. I think I need to come back in with some darker colors to ground all these trees, but it's much better that it actually comes out into these meadows. And then maybe a couple random ones. Too far forward because then I'm gonna have to start making them bigger. I'm not sure what shape I'm using there, but right now it's just brush strokes. Yeah, they're in the foreground. They need to be bigger. And they need to be greener. Here we go. This is where the skill comes in, is making it more green, more foreground. Make them color. Putting oil into the paints is that they take even longer to dry. Which is, of course, good and bad. I do like it because I can come back and keep making adjustments. Oh boy. Okay. I need to leave this color here. Oh, cool. You can actually see what I'm doing on the palette. Getting all the right camera angles and everything is... I'm working it out as I go. I'll get this to where it's much more polished and good. I want these videos to be watchable. I would love it if people would actually like grab a canvas or colored pencils or even a coloring book or something, and while I'm doing my videos, you're doing something artsy or making something out of clay or drawing, carving wood. Music. I don't think of that because even though I have artistic talent, I sadly have zero musical talent. I can sometimes on a good day carry a tune. It has to be a really good day, and that's about it. So I used to feel really sad about that, but not having musical talent maybe means that I have some other talent that I use, so I don't feel bad about it anymore. So here I'm leaving. I don't want to bring it on into the meadow too much. I want there to be this path in so that you can... feels like you can walk towards the towards those mountains in the very back. Just like in the front here, it's not all covered with rocks, so you can feel like you can walk in there, walk here, take a walk here, and go back in there, so your eye can kind of guide itself through that. want to group these a little bit more and take out one. Take out that. The green underneath is totally dry, so I can get away with this. I wanted to bring them into the meadow, but not too much, because I still want the meadow. I like meadows and I like forests. A little bit of turpentine. Always scary to do this because I don't want to get turpentine on my fingers. I think turpentine is thin enough that it can actually go through your skin, and you don't want that in your bloodstream. Okay, I'm getting rid of that paper towel. Greener one. Foreground trees. And I'll give him some shape in another color here. So I need to come up with a darker color to kind of come in from underneath to show some of the shadows of the trees, and then come back in with some light colors to put in some highlights on the peaks. That's the plan, but it already looks better and more natural. I need darker. Can't pre-mix everything though, because some of it I just don't know what I'm gonna need. Grabbing some blue and some black. Off to the side here, I'm gonna mix another color so I don't mess up my existing colors. Oh, that's a pretty good. Yeah, all right. Probably didn't make enough. I do that a lot. I don't want to use too much paint because paint's expensive, and what if I just make a muddy mush out of it? But then it turns out I mixed the perfect color, and now I'm like, oh, I don't have enough. I'll have to try to replicate what I did. I think this is a good color, though. Let's make this forest pretty. I'm actually in the process of, I just moved recently, and I'm in the process of trying to decorate my home in a cohesive style. In the past, I just kind of bought things that I liked, and it wasn't necessarily things that would go well together. And as I've moved several times in my life, it's like every time I figure out a little bit more. And now I'm to the point where I didn't even unpack the things that, even though I love them, they don't fit the decorative style that I'm going for, which is, this will come as a total shock, but forest. There's kind of this lump of trees near where I live so that I can see out my window. And I'm using that as inspiration, and I call that my forest, even though it's not really a forest, but just a clump of trees, but it's my forest. And the idea is to bring the forest inside. So I'm using sage greens as the base, and aiming for purples and yellows as the accent color to represent wildflowers. And yellow, purple, and green also work together on the color wheel. It's a triad. So I know those colors are good together. I just need to, like when I choose greens, they need to be not like one's a teal and the other's a mossy green, because those are two kinds of greens that they're beautiful separately, but next to each other might not look that great. So it needs to be like the same family of greens and the same family of those purples, or violet rather. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with violet. I never looked this up. I should look it up sometime. But to me, purple is when there's more red in it, and violet is when there's more blue in it. And I don't know where I picked that up, but that's how I visualize things. Now, lavender, that's a specific color. That's actually I don't really have it mixed, but lavender is a specific color, so you can't really say that about lavender because that one is more on the bluish side, what I would call violet. But for me, it's always been purple versus violet. That's what they mean. I'm trying to add some of these shadows in here behind the trees, and then I'm gonna come back in with some lighter colors. I gotta step back a bit. I gotta remember to do that more often. Oh, that's so much better. Yeah, that actually looks like trees spilling down into the meadow. I'm so much happier with that. I was afraid I'd mess it up. And then further in the background, I'm not doing as much of that dark shadow, because further in the background means it's lighter. In fact, I should go back in and put in more bluish, like a more bluish tint over these trees in the background. I do have a lighter, this might be too light. Oh boy. I should do this more often. Try the color. Oh, it's not that much lighter. Okay, I'll try this. It's one of the others that I pre-mixed that I haven't used yet. That's a good way of testing. Just putting it on the palette knife and holding it up to the painting to see if it's actually gonna work. Although there have been times that I did that and I thought it was totally gonna work, and then I actually put it on the paper and it did totally not work. So yeah, learning. Yummy. Should this be the highlights or should this be the lighter? Oh no, this should be the lighter tree. Okay, that's actually good. That's given some dimension. I need to come back in with a even lighter color and much smaller brush and put in the tree tops. This is actually a really bad brush. You know, I think this might actually be a makeup brush. Whoopsie. I might have at some point bought a makeup brush. Yeah, I need a better brush. This is, I don't know what the heck this is. Yeah, at one point I bought this tiny little brush and I learned to really like it, but I try to hold off using the little stuff because the idea is to paint with a bigger brush throughout the painting, and as you get more into more and more detail, that's when you bring in the little brushes. But I'm to the point with this particular painting that I do need a finer detail, and I'm gonna put in some oil into. I need like a drip bottle for this oil because this is really hard to control. Linseed oil. And I'm mixing that into the paint so that it flows easier on the canvas. I'm also going to put in just a tad of yellow because it's going to be like the sun-kissed part of the tree. Not that there's any direct sunlight in this painting, but still the implication is that there's a sun somewhere off in this direction. Yeah, I think this is an okay color. Okay, I think that'll work. So yeah, the yellow will make it look like it's out in the sunlight. So see what kind of damage we can do. Oh boy. Can't put my hand anywhere, everything is wet. Okay, that's working. Just little hints. It's far enough in the background where it doesn't need a lot. Hints of trees, but I want them to have tips. Oh, nice. What I'm trying to work up to is get my brush strokes to where there's such that just a hint, it just kind of hints, and then your eye and your human brain fills in the rest. Like I have little squiggles, but you kind of know it's the tree because I presented it well enough with just enough background, just the right colors and everything so that you jump to that conclusion like, oh, okay, that's a tree without me having to actually literally draw a tree. That's the goal. That's what I'm trying to work toward. I think that's working. I'm going to make a more warmer color to do the same thing. Right now I'm going to make a line across the back here and then mix a warmer version of the paint I'm using right now and do that across the ones in the foreground here. My chair is squeaking a lot and I sure hope it's not coming across on the audio. That's another thing I need to do is I need to ground these big dark trees a little bit better because they're the darkest thing on the painting and they stand out a little bit too much. The grasses in front, I did make them darker, but not enough. They need more. Okay, that's it for, okay, step back again. Yeah, it's looking like a forest. These ones in the foreground that I really need to make sure it really looks like a forest. Okay, so get a greener color here. I do have this other green I pre-mixed. It's a little bit more vibrant. I still need it to be different enough from the meadow color so that it doesn't fade into that. So, good lord, this is complicated. Yeah, see, that's that color would be okay if it wasn't for the meadow being almost the same color. What to do? I think I'll make it lighter. I'll add a little bit more yellow into it. Let me try that. So anyway, if this works out, since my home decor is forest, I could potentially hang this painting somewhere and actually have it be part of the ambiance. Okay, this is kind of working. Wish I had a small flat brush. Kind of matching the meadow a bit, but I am going to change up the meadow when I put in some flowers and whatnot. The longer I keep the brush on the painting, the more it mixes in with the other colors and the duller it gets. So that's why I did that. I worked with a fresh brush here and a older brush here. We are creeping into the foreground here, so I'm not shocked that it's the mid-ground that's giving me a hard time. Integrate this a little bit. Here, oh, I kind of like that. Integrated with the line in the back. I'm going to use slightly thicker paint. I think this is going to be it. I leave the thicker paint on and gives a little bit more texture. Kind of nice. Okay, that is looking like a believable forest. And the multicolors in there are actually working out, so I'm kind of glad I did that. You know what? I need a footstool over here. Okay, this was a better color. The bluish wedge that I started out with, it was way too straight. It was way too blue. Now that I'm putting in darker greens, it's actually starting to come out as a real forest. Glad I did that. The color that I originally mixed, that was the color I was going for. It's just the color that I planned turned out to not be the right color for the perspective that this. Yeah, and by making the foreground trees darker, it it actually adds the depth to the meadow that I was going for initially. So yeah, wow, that worked out. I'm happy with that. I do need to mix a little bit more of this color though. I have this black and blue. That might be too much black and blue. No, that's actually a good color. Like a dark moss color. Very pretty. Yeah, this is actually the color that I was thinking about painting my bedroom. I recently put up blackout curtains in my bedroom. They're sage green and they go floor to ceiling and they're very pretty. It's a beautiful color. But now I've got this, it's white walls and I'm thinking that, this would look pretty if I had dark green walls. It would make it foresty, work with the pattern, and it would make the room darker even more. Because the blackout curtains are actually really good. I took, you see if you shop for blackout curtains, they have these ads where they show a cell phone with the flashlight on, and then there's the curtain, and then it shows the cell phone behind the curtain, and you can't see the light. Like, well, it's an ad, so 100% right off the bat, I don't know if I should believe that. But I bought these curtains, and it's actually true for real blackout curtains. I have a 2700 lumen flashlight. This thing's pretty serious. It's an impressive flashlight. And I put the 2700 lumen flashlight behind the curtain, and you can't see the light. Pretty amazing. So the fabric does an amazing job, but you can still see a little bit of light poking around, like around the outside perimeter of the window. And I would love it if it was like completely black. So if I can paint the walls darker, one, it'll be more cozy, and two, if it takes away a little bit more of the light reflecting, that would be even more awesome. I was just measuring. I need to put a larger piece of art above my bed. And the ideal proportions would be 3x4. And I was thinking a rug would be nice because that way I won't feel like it'll topple on top of me in the middle of the night. I think that's a feng shui concept. But it's true. It's not good to have like a shelf with books above you because back in your mind, you're wondering if it's going to fall on you. So I think a rug or tapestry or something would be great, but 3 feet by 4 feet or 3x4 is really it's not something that rugs come in. So I'll paint something that size. I don't know if a canvas big enough, but that would be a heck of a project because that's a lot of paint. That's a lot of work. This is 9x12, and this is already, I think, the 6th session. And they're like half hour to an hour each. I mean, that would take a long time. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave this forest be, and I'm gonna mix a lighter version of this green and put in some highlights on these tips. Color I've been using with the one that's got all that oil in it. Okay, I think that's a good color. It's more backgroundish because it's a lot lighter. It's got more blue in it, but it still has that rich green in it. Oops. A little hint of a tree line. Making it a little bit irregular. Check here. Okay, looks much more like a forest than it did before. I have a blob of blue here that needs to be broken up. They need to look more like trees because they're close enough to the viewer that you should be able to see actual tree shapes, not just hints at some vague tree line. Okay, and it's enough of a different green that it still works with that. Okay, so while I still have my greens mixed, I'm going to leave the forest alone for now. But I'm going to see if I can anchor these dark foreground trees a little bit. I'm going to clean off all of my brushes, see what kind of damage I can do in the foreground. I used 5 different brushes? Jesus. When did that happen? I like this setup though. I really like having my palette underneath here, even though it keeps threatening to fall on my floor here. My pants, but I'm gonna live on the edge and tempt fate. I'll figure out a way of securing it because it's convenient. Although when I mix it, I end up putting it in my lap, which, oh, whatever. I'll figure it out, but it's nicer having it here rather than having to turn over here. Okay, so what do I want to do? I need the trees to have a better shadow. You know what? I'm going to try to put in some lavender because shadows can get kind of purplish sometimes. And I do have lavender in the rocks, and a plan is still to put some lavender in the sky too. But I need to think about this. I need to meditate on it a little bit. So I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna end this session and come back and work on it in the next video. See you later. Go make some art.